Greetings, Marsh here, and welcome to episode 304 of my modded Factorio playthrough. In this episode, we are going to improve our science output by making naphtha from residual gas. Enjoy! So it looks like this is actually producing more than 2 belts a second, which is about what we would expect, since they are blues, and the uranium is still getting held back. But because 2 of these are running, it kind of makes sense. There's just not enough for the 3rd one to go. And that one isn't running either. So it makes sense that uranium is our least important resource right now. Certainly if we get into nuclear power, we'd want it. But at the moment, we kind of don't really need it. Because our new power setup is working just fine. So it's a little sad in that sense, because I was looking forward to nuclear power, but we kind of don't need to bother with it because this fuel block setup is doing really well. And it's actually nowhere close to maxing out all of these machines. I think we have the capability of burning off more fuel blocks than we can actually make. So we have so much residuals to make residual gas here, 409,000 right now, that I feel like we should be doing it in this way and continue to do it in this way to just try to use all those up. Or maybe someday use it on naphtha. In fact, that is something we can do to buff this output. Because we do need this output to an extent, because we want to be able to create these resources here for making rubber. And hey, it looks like rubber is actually completely maxed out at this point. Now we're just burning the extras because we don't need them. So in that sense, we're probably fine buffing up naphtha a little bit. So since we're thinking about it, and hey, look at that. Stopped, stopped, and stopped. So now it's just the crystallizers doing their thing. And whenever the level gets a little low, it gives it a little burst just to fill it up. And because these are blue belts now, the bursts are faster and it reacts quicker. So what do the crystallizers say? Well, they're making cobalt, and that makes sense. Cobalt is the lowest thing, but it's not. The lowest thing is actually titanium. But it can't make titanium because that would make zinc. So it's doing the next best thing it can make right now, and that's cobalt. So once things run a little bit, this will clear out, and it looks like it already is clearing out a bit, because now nickel is the tiniest bit not maxed out anymore. So a lot of these red lights are turning off. So now we just need to wait for more requests and more lights to turn out. But we do have one little thing we can do with that naphtha and those oil residuals just to try to use them up. So what did we need? Well, we actually already calculated it out. We needed 9 oil residuals a second, and this is what the setup would be. We could build better machines. We would have to research them first, but considering we would only need 1 machine for each of this, it doesn't seem very important. That we can probably just handcraft a single one of each one of these and play it easy. So can we? Oh yes. So we need to have 2 steam crackers, chemical plant. Looks like we need a little bit of steam here, and we need carbon monoxide. So we probably will have to deliver some coal up here, but probably should calculate that out. So the carbon monoxide just needs purified water and some carbon. Sure, and all of that would just come from something here. We do need some filter frames. I think there were some extra ones just kind of sitting up here because they had nowhere to go. Unless I deconstructed them, which I might have done. Oh wow, all that stuff didn't have anywhere to go. We'll figure it out later. Not seeing the filter frames, but we can always just grab a few more. Oh, and actually just put them right there, so there we go. So we're already making oil residuals with this setup. I don't think it would make the amount that we would need. 9 per second is quite a lot. Probably have to ask for them. So this thing is making tons of oil residuals. We don't need to do that anymore. At least we don't need to send them away, because we're probably just going to want to process all of them here. So first, goes into a steam cracker here. Oil residuals go in. Residual gas comes out. And then it goes into another one, breaking it down into the synthesis gas, but we need to give it some spaces. And then the output goes into a chemical plant, which is this one right here. Did I guess right? I did not. That one goes straight across. And then that will create the naphtha, which can go back here. Let's see, does it need to have any kind of logic? So how about that one will be 10,000 and then these ones can be 20,000. And I guess we'll just do this. It's kind of weird, but that's how it works. Naphtha is under 20,000. That can run and it wants to. Then we need carbon monoxide, which can just kind of swing around there. Needs purified water, and actually we are dumping it up here, which is kind of funny. So we can attempt to save it. An overflow valve, and then going into this. So I don't know if this is going to last us. It would be great if it did. I'm not expecting any miracles. Speed, and then other stuff. Speeds, speeds. We still need to get the steam and the residuals in here. We'll probably have to do more logic for requesting the residuals. But actually this one can always run because we're always going to want them. So oil residuals in like 5 drones. This can come from 2 different locations. And for now we'll see if this doesn't even have to stay connected. And we'll give input priority to the extras, and we need 9 per second, so I guess actually we don't even need a stack inserter. That one, well, that one just barely does it, so we'll probably want to use the stack. And then this one will need that right there, making the filters. Well, we've got some made, so we can just throw those in there. Let's see, we need to ask for some stuff. Ask for carbon, it needs very little, so 1 drone is probably enough. In fact, 1 drone is probably enough for all of these. And what does this require? Basic stuff. 1 iron, 1 copper. And this actually could be directly injected right there. So I think that gets all of that made. Now we just kind of need the steam. And I think I've got some boilers just sitting around. And I see no warning because the robots have placed all the concrete in the places they can reach again. Okay, I think there were boilers up here still. Because they're not something that we make, but we need them. So we need 90 steam a second. I bet 1 would be fine if it had speed modules in it. Oh, we actually need to give it a recipe. Then we can choose if we want to use purified water or regular. Let's use regular since we're right next to water. And yeah, it would make 60 a second. So putting the speed module in there makes 120. So that's actually not quite enough. So we would need 2 of them. Let's see, we do need an offshore pump. Didn't bring one with me. Could just make one. Oh man, it's like in the way. Because of the road, I guess. Darn. Well. There. Now we have space. Although the pipe is also going to kind of go over the road a little bit. Okay, this gives us steam, and since it's 1-to-1 here, I guess we can just directly go into each relevant machine. So let's unhook that for now. Get the steam going. And how come it's not flowing? Oh, of course. Gotta have power. There they go. So steam is being made available. We just kind of gotta wait on all this to get caught up here. We should probably have some kind of buffer in here then. And might make more sense to put it up here. Just to hold everything as it comes in and out. So this can keep running while we're waiting. And speaking of buffers, how is that sulfur doing? And it's kind of filling up. We'll let it sit a little longer. And oh yeah, we might have needed to make purified water directly, depending on how that works. So let's do that while we're waiting. We can keep the water coming from down here. We don't need to really worry about the saline water, so we'll just dump it. And this just barely is too close. So let's do kind of something like this with a pump in here. And let's say if this is below like 20,000, it'll run to keep it filled up. Well, then one way we can make this a little easier to see is if we just put a belt right there. It's not that much easier to see, I suppose, but well, one thing we can do then is put it like right here and like up there. I don't know, I'm just trying to visually see that it's in there, since things are like one square too tight. But okay, that's all in there. We should have everything we need except the steam, and the steam is here, so we hook this up. It's making the residual gas. It made it in there, so we hook the steam up there. And it's making the naphtha. Still need to actually connect it. There we go. It's all blazing away. And is it using oil residuals faster than it's being created? Yes, it is. Well, we can avoid sending oil residuals down there by just using them up here. But I kind of don't want to remove the belt for now, because I want to give this a long-term test to make sure that it doesn't overload on residuals over time. And there we go. It took a little while. Had to fill up the pipes, but now naphtha is building up. And we're using some oil residuals as a result, which is nice. But this will go back to full blast. And yeah, since we're here, it very much seems like this is going to be sulfur positive. So let's change how this works here. I'll just make this red. We'll have something there. It always goes down. But then the part that goes up only goes up if this is particularly full. So let's say like 10,000. Then it'll get ejected, because it definitely seems like we are building it up. Then this needs to go into a supply depot. And say this thing needs to have, I don't know, like, I'm not sure how much we can carry on a drone these days, but we'll go with this. And hopefully it's not creating like a huge loop. And it hasn't, because it hasn't requested one yet. So we'll have to see how it works and see if it needs any micromanaging to work properly, because it certainly seems like we are generating quite a bit of sulfur with this. And I don't feel the need to change that, because sulfur is something we kind of need a bunch of. Oh, interesting. Since our ore methods have run, all of our acid methods have kind of collected. It's been a long time since we've had any sodium nitrate, and that's probably just because we don't run rubite very often, and that's the only thing that makes it. But we've actually got some on hand now. It's only used to make nitric acid, which we can make in other ways, but that's pretty cool. And we're building up a little bit of sulfur again, so all this seems pretty good. These are kind of inching along, doing their thing. Just gotta wait for more requests for this all to clear up. But certainly this part's cleared out. And that's kind of the point, to have all of this. And that expansion, I think, was relatively pain-free. It did kind of suck having to move this. And it does suck that we can't move it again, unless we just pick it up and put it somewhere else. And I don't really want to. We could, I suppose. Put it like down here and have lots of pipes. But we do have, what's that, 2 or 3 more rows of these available for some processing methods before we just run out of space. So we've still got some room here. So it's not the end of the world there. I'm pretty happy with how things turned out, both here on the science bus and also with our new resources. And looks like we are getting through those residuals. But it's not using them all because of the way the inserter picks up. I don't think that really matters though, because the chest is empty, it's just full on this side of the belt. But you see the rate of it is slow enough that it doesn't matter. So this is fine, even though it looks kind of derpy. But otherwise, things look great. So from here, we need to figure out what new things we want to work on. Basically, just whatever it seems like the factory would most benefit from right now. And that's probably logistics 4, because we can do them already. And since titanium is not a problem anymore, we might as well. So all we have to do is put titanium parts in and green circuits to get the splitter. And then we will have 60 items a second. So we'll throw that in there. And we get access to the purple inserters as well. So where the belts improve from 45 per second with blue to 60 per second with purple, the inserters increase to 1,728 degrees per second compared to 1,296. So it's definitely faster. And just requires our titanium items and green circuits for both of them. So stuff we can do. And then the stack versions as well, which can now hold 10 items per swing. And the researches are getting kind of big for this stuff, over 1,000. And since we're there, we'll grab the final upgrade for more inserters, and I believe what this will do is basically give us access to absolutely everything. So we'll have to see when it's done, and I guess I'll throw the reach back in there. But right now, we kind of have like this star pattern of options, and I believe that final research will give us all of the weird squares in between, so we will be able to pick up from anywhere within 3 squares to anywhere within 3 squares. So it's pretty good, and looks like the research won't take very long, but while it's going we can kind of review things. That it looks like the resources have been holding up fine, but we are out of oil, which is an interesting thing to be out of. And it's full on the raw gas. Seems like it should be processing through it. Ah, it's full on the acid gas, because we've been producing so much more of it. And I imagine we have quite a few drones working on this. It's probably just not enough, because I bet we have like just 1 or 2 of them down there. Well, the acid gas is here, and it is overloaded because we're overloaded on hydrogen fluoride gas. So we've actually kind of maxed this out, and we're at the point where we're going to need to start to dump it. So it is what it is. I guess we'll take care of that. So let's jump down here and fix it. And I also think we still need to hook up the batteries. Let me double check for the lithium ion batteries, because we still could place a few more of them. So that would be nice. Yep, still disconnected. So there it goes. I wonder how the crystallizers are going. Hey, look at that. It looks like we're actually starting to make a little bit of chrome. And that is because the thing we are lowest on is actually aluminum, the lowest thing that we can make. We are lowest on titanium, but that would make zinc. So it looks like we're going to start holding on to some chrome now. So we will have to process that at some point. Okay, so the acid gas has nowhere to go. Do we still want to process it? Probably. I mean, we could just dump the acid gas, but the thing is this would create carbon dioxide and the hydrogen sulfide gas, which we totally could use right now. It's just the fluoride which is maxed out. Although on here it says we only have 14,000, so why is that? Ah, because of the position of this pipe, it can't dump into this. So the pipes are just kind of wrong. But let's see here. Some of this stuff is kind of weird. Alright, let's basically just pick it up and fix it here. Where this would go Basically straight into that. Let's try to line the pipes up the best we can. There we go. That'll get started and it will always run, and probably should just put some speed modules in here because we have a bit of an overload. And let's see here. We probably could build some better versions of the machines. But I don't want to pick them up and then build them. Well, we can't build a better advanced chemical plant, so it probably wouldn't matter in the end. We're starting to go through this acid gas. Let's play it a little safe and increase the drones to 10 there. Now we have this hydrofluoric acid that needs to go into the supply warehouse. And hey, it actually lines up here. There we go, that should be back in order. So that was weird. I guess we just never really processed that much acid gas, so it was never really relevant. But now that we've done that, are we going to start seeing some oil processing happening here? Maybe in a second, because the drones actually still have to get here. Well, another thing we can do, since the bots have caught up with laying concrete and I filled in the gaps yet again, is to lay more concrete. We're getting there. I know it might seem kind of monotonous to be laying concrete, but it has a secondary purpose, and that's to just force me to fill in all these gaps and have perfect robot coverage everywhere, because there's a lot of these robot zones all over the place to do this, so it does take a little bit of work. The factory is not small. Alright, well I guess we can line it up with the bus here. Try not to overlap here. We're slowly making progress here. One line of refined concrete at a time. And I think those are the drones that are going to pick up the acid gas, so we should see, whoops, something happening again. So there they go, picking stuff up. And we're beginning to make oil again. Let's see, how many more lines do we want to run? How about one more for now? Let's see how it goes. The robots are actually pretty fast at doing this now that their speed has been upgraded. So it's really not taking them very long. Okay. And a lot of that is actually covered by the network, so the robots will be pretty fast at it. Definitely our consumption rate of the rarer resources are pretty slow because of all these productivity modules. I mean, we could fix it with speed modules, and I guess that wouldn't really matter now because of the available resources we have, but we're going to come through here before too long and fix that with coils. Plus, so long as it's holding out, it's really not a concern here, and it has actually held out, so I don't see any reason to be worried. And that's the end of this episode. On the next one, we are going to upgrade to purple belts and inserters. Thanks for watching. I'll see you later.